God will expose 10 creepy questions which is asked before casting spells on you. You are not just flesh and blood walking through time. You are spirit wrapped in divine identity, clothed in the invisible armor of the Almighty. And yet, even in this sacred form, there are forces that seek to infiltrate your awareness, not with weapons of war, but with whispers, not with swords, but with questions, strange, subtle, unsettling questions. There are those who walk among you, smiling with empty eyes, asking you things they have no right to know. Their words seem innocent at first, curious, even flattering, but underneath them lies intention. Dark, twisted intention. Before a spell is cast, before manipulation is set in motion, there is always a question. It is the doorway, the invitation, the test to see if you'll let your guard down and surrender your authority. But hear this truth: God never allows darkness to move in unseen. The moment you become aware, the spell is broken before it begins. God is lifting the veil in this hour, exposing the tactics of spiritual manipulators, not to alarm you, but to awaken the power within you. You will recognize them, you will discern them, you will not fall prey to their words, because the Holy One within you cannot be deceived. This is not paranoia, this is revelation. You are not being called to fear. You are being called to watch, to listen, and to know. The questions may be creepy, but your spirit is powerful. Their craft is weak in the presence of a mind that is rooted in divine identity. So open your eyes, open your ears, for God will expose every hidden question, every serpent in disguise, every charm masked in curiosity. By the end of this message you will know what to look for, and how to shut it down with spiritual. It always begins as something ordinary, a question wrapped in charm, wrapped in politeness. What's your full name and birth date again? They smile as they ask. Casual, as if it's just for a form, a prayer list, a harmless curiosity. But in the realm of spirit, this question is not harmless. It is surgical. It's not about knowing you. It's about naming you. Understand this: identity in the spiritual world is not just about who you are. It's about what you answer to. Your name and birth date are not random. They are coordinates, spiritual signatures that mark your journey, your origin, and the intention of heaven for your life. The enemy knows he cannot curse what God has blessed unless he first identifies how you see yourself. So he sends a counterfeit, a voice cloaked in light, asking the question that opens the gate. Tell me who you are in full. You must see the trap. The power is never in the words alone. It is in the intention behind the question. When someone who operates in darkness asks for your full name and birth date, they are not simply trying to get to know you. They are trying to gain access to the energetic thread of your timeline, your soul contract, your purpose. In the occult, names and dates are entry points, anchors for rituals, coordinates for influence. Now hear this: you are not just a person, you are a vibration in the mind of God. When your name is spoken, it echoes through spirit. When your birth date is invoked, the stars align to your calling. These are not facts, they are forces. And that is exactly why a witch operating in secret must first extract that information before any manipulation can begin. Let me be clear: God does not need your birth date to bless you, but the enemy needs it to monitor you. And the reason the question is always asked early, softly, innocently, is because it disarms your awareness. Your discernment is bypassed by your desire to be liked, to be polite, to not seem suspicious. That's where the danger lies. The spell cannot begin unless you open the door. But here is the deeper truth: nothing can be done to you unless it is first done through you. That's why these questions are never forced. They are offered. They are invitations, and when you willingly give away the information, you unknowingly sign a spiritual permission slip. Not because you're weak, but because you're unaware. The enemy doesn't need to overpower you. He just needs you to cooperate unknowingly. This is why exposure is mercy. God is not revealing this to make you paranoid. He is showing you that your life is sacred, your identity is spiritual real estate, and your information must be guarded like a treasure. Think about it. When someone truly operates in divine light, they don't need your birthday to pray for you. They don't need your full legal name to bless you. Why? Because the Spirit of God does not require data. It requires faith. Only those who operate by formulas and rituals rely on such details to invoke their power. The moment someone asks, "What's your full name and birth date again?" pause, ask yourself, why do they need it? What's the fruit of this relationship? Have they been sent to elevate or to extract? Because those who are sent by God speak life over you based on revelation, not research. They speak to your destiny, not to your database. But those who are sent as spies for the enemy will cloak their manipulation as interest, and their schemes as spirituality. This is why your awareness is your armor. When you know that your name is holy, that your birth date is not just a calendar entry but a covenant marker, you stop giving it away so freely. You stop handing your power to anyone who asks for it with a smile. You begin to protect your identity not out of fear but out of reverence. Reverence for who you are, reverence for who sent you, reverence for the fact that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, unless you unknowingly hand it the blueprints. Now listen closely. Some of the people asking you these things don't even know they are being used. They aren't wearing black cloaks or lighting candles in the dark. Some of them call themselves prophets. Some of them call themselves friends, but the spirit behind the question never lies. The spirit always reveals itself. If you are tuned in, you will feel it, a small twist in your gut, a pause in your chest, a stirring in your discernment. That is the Spirit of God speaking. Don't answer that. You don't have to be rude to be spiritual. You don't have to answer every question just because it's asked. The most powerful people are not the loudest. They are the most discerning. They listen before they speak. They pray before they reveal. They guard their pearls from swine, not out of pride, but out of purpose. You don't give royal access to people walking in rebellion, and you don't answer holy questions from unholy spirits. Let this be your revelation. The question is the spell. The enemy doesn't need to chant if he can get you to confess. He doesn't need a candle if you'll light the doorway yourself. When you say your full name and birth date aloud to someone who operates in the occult, you are giving them the thread they need to begin weaving their deception. But when you know who you are in spirit, and you understand that your identity is hidden with Christ in God, you become invisible to the enemy's tools. You become a spiritual firewall. Their rituals bounce off you. Their incantations fizzle in the wind. Why? Because you never opened the door. You never agreed with the question. So the next time someone asks, "What's your full name and birth date again?" pause, smile. And remember this truth. You are already known in heaven. You do not need to be identified by anyone in darkness. You are not a number. You are not a nameplate. You are a revelation in motion, a word from the mouth of God walking in flesh. And no one can spellbind what heaven has spoken into being. Do you dream a lot? What kind of dreams do you have? The trap of divination disguised as interest. Be careful when someone begins asking about your dreams. Do you dream a lot? What kind of dreams do you have? It sounds casual, like a light-hearted conversation starter. Maybe they smile as they ask, lean in as if it's out of fascination, maybe even say, "I just love talking about dreams." But let this truth strike your spirit. They are not asking to understand your vision. They are probing to enter it. You must remember, your dreams are not just your mind at play. They are sacred. They are gateways, doorways through which the Spirit speaks, instructs, corrects, and delivers. When God gives you a dream, it is often encoded with symbols, people, patterns, and prophetic insight. Dreams are not passive, they are powerful, and when interpreted correctly by the Spirit, they are revelations from heaven. But when manipulated by dark intent, they can become portals for invasion. When a person operating in witchcraft or divination begins asking about your dreams, they are not curious, they are mapping. They are studying your spiritual landscape. Because in the spirit realm, your dream life reveals the temperature of your soul. It tells them whether you're spiritually guarded or open, whether you're being visited by light or stalked by darkness. It exposes where you are weak, confused, or vulnerable. Your dreams are like a diary written in divine code, and witches want to read it without your permission. But let's take it even deeper. Why do they ask? Because they cannot see unless you show them. Just like God speaks through dreams, so do spirits of darkness. But here is the difference. God gives you the dream to build your faith, while witches want to take your dream to redirect your future. When you describe your dreams out loud to the wrong person, you're not just sharing, you're unlocking. You're giving spiritual intel to someone who may twist it, speak against it, or enter it through counterfeit visions. What does this look like in real life? Imagine you share a recurring dream about flying, breaking through ceilings, escaping danger, or walking through unfamiliar doors. A person of light will say, God is showing you your freedom, your rising, your elevation. But someone operating in darkness will store that data, track your spiritual ascent, and begin working rituals or spells to intercept what they now know is unfolding. They can't block what they don't know, but once you reveal it, they aim to reroute it. Divination is not always crystal balls and tarot cards. Sometimes it comes with soft eyes, warm smiles, and spiritual language. A witch can wear a cross. A manipulator can quote scripture. But their spirit will always betray them, because their interest in your dreams is not rooted in discernment, but domination. And here lies the greatest deception. They will offer you interpretation, but what they are really offering is infiltration. The moment they say, oh, that means, and begin assigning meaning without divine leading, without reverence, without discernment, they are attempting to label your spirit with their words, and if you accept it, if you say, wow, I never thought of it that way, and take it into your belief system, you have agreed with their counterfeit vision, and as the scriptures say, can two walk together unless they be agreed? Dreams are not for everyone's ears. Even Joseph, when he dreamed of rulership and saw the stars bowing to him, shared it prematurely and suffered betrayal. Not everyone will celebrate what God shows you. Some will seek to kill it before it grows. Some will take what you describe and speak spiritual poison into it, quietly trying to hijack what they could never create. This is why God is calling you to spiritual secrecy with purpose. It is not that you are hiding. It is that you are protecting the unborn word. When you share a dream, you give someone the blueprint of your spiritual womb, and not everyone who hears it wants it to live. Some want to miscarry the vision through confusion, contradiction, or counterfeit confirmation. Be wise. When someone asks, do you dream a lot? Pause. Ask yourself, do they carry the Spirit of God? Do they have fruit in their lives? Are they dream interpreters or dream invaders? Are they sent to walk with me or to watch me from a distance, gathering information to use against me? The Holy Spirit will always answer if you ask. Here is the truth you must carry. Your dreams are an inheritance. Not everyone gets access to them. They are sacred scrolls written on the tablets of your sleep. You do not hand your scrolls to strangers. You do not allow people with no reverence to rewrite what heaven wrote. Even in the scriptures, the wise men were warned in a dream not to return to Herod. If they had spoken of the dream prematurely, the Christ child would have been endangered. Your silence protects what your spirit is still nurturing, but you might say, what if I already shared my dreams with the wrong person? Then do not fear. What God births in you cannot be stolen, only delayed. Go into prayer, declare with spiritual authority, every word spoken against my dream is null and void. Every false interpretation is cast down. I revoke every spiritual access I unknowingly gave, and just like that, the cord is cut. The access is revoked. The watcher is blinded, because no one can curse what God has sealed with fire. Let this truth settle deep in your spirit. Those who are sent by God to help you will never fish for your dreams. They will wait for the Spirit to reveal. They won't ask leading questions or pry for details. They'll discern in silence and speak with caution, because dream language is holy language, and only those who carry the fear of the Lord can handle the mysteries that unfold at night. So guard your dream life, sanctify your imagination. If God wants you to share, he will lead you, but if someone presses too hard, asks too soon, or offers meaning too quickly, recognize the snare, because that question, what kind of dreams do you have, is more than it seems. It may just be the entrance point of a spell clothed in suggestion. Stand tall, be silent when led to, and know this. God gives dreams to those he trusts, and he will give you the wisdom to protect them from those who don't deserve access. Who hurt you in the past? The wound. Greeting spirit that feeds on pain, there is a question that often arrives softly, with concern in the voice and gentleness in the eyes. It seems caring. It seems compassionate. They ask, who hurt you in the past? And at first it feels like therapy, like someone finally wants to listen, like someone genuinely wants to understand the journey of your pain. But listen in the spirit. This is not always healing. This can be harvesting. When someone bound by manipulation or hidden witchcraft asks about your past pain, it is rarely for the purpose of your deliverance. It is for the harvest of your weakness. Not all who inquire into your suffering are sent to heal it. Some come to feed on it, to extract the details of your wounding and use them as spiritual leverage against you later. You must begin to recognize the spirit behind the question. Darkness does not need a sword to defeat you. It only needs access to your unhealed wounds. The enemy is strategic. He knows where the trauma lies. He doesn't need to break through your armor if he can find the cracks in your soul. That is why this question is one of the most dangerous of them all. Not because the question itself is evil, but because of what follows when you answer it carelessly. When someone asks who hurt you, they are not just inviting your story. They are inviting your soul to revisit the injury. And where attention goes, energy flows. The more you speak on it, the more power you give to the past. The memory becomes alive again in the spirit realm. And if the person asking is not spiritually clean, if they operate with impure motives or are spiritually tethered to manipulation, then your pain becomes a portal for witchcraft. Yes, your vulnerability becomes a doorway. This is how it works. They ask the question to find your point of rupture. They listen carefully, not out of compassion but calculation. They're searching your emotional landscape, trying to discern where you are still bleeding, where you're still angry, where you've not yet forgiven. And when they find that place, they speak into it, but not to heal. They speak to affirm the pain, to deepen the wound, to keep it open. Why? Because an open wound is easier to control than a healed heart. They'll say things like, "No one should have treated you like that," or "You were right to walk away," or "People like that never change." And at first you'll nod in agreement, but what they're doing, without you even realizing, is anchoring you to bitterness, resentment, and mistrust. They're not helping you forgive, they're reinforcing your identity as a victim. And the moment you agree with that identity, your inner world begins to align with a lie, that you are broken, powerless, or unfinished. But hear this truth: you are not your past pain, you are not the trauma that happened, you are not the betrayal you survived, you are not the story of who hurt you. You are the evidence that grace covers wounds and transforms ashes into beauty. And when you rehearse the pain to someone who is not assigned to your healing, you unintentionally give them the spiritual keys to your heart. Let me take it deeper. Witches, spiritual manipulators, and false healers often masquerade as listeners. They want your pain because it's easier to shape a broken identity than a whole one. If they can attach themselves to your wound, they can subtly begin to influence your thoughts. They'll start advising you disguised as counsel, but what they're really doing is guiding your life from a seat of emotional witchcraft. You'll start hearing them in your head: "Don't trust people, don't open up, you need me, everyone is fake," and on and on. Before long, they become your internal voice, not because they love you, but because they spiritually branded you with their voice in your place of pain. But here's the beautiful truth: what they meant for control, God will use for clarity. Because once your eyes are open, you can never be bound again. The moment you see that this question, "Who hurt you?" is being used not to heal but to trap, you take your power back. You realize that your story is not for everyone's ears. It's not entertainment, it's not emotional currency. Your testimony is sacred and must only be shared in places where the Spirit of God is present. Ask yourself this: when I shared my pain, did I feel lighter, or did I feel more confused? Did I feel uplifted or more broken? Was I pushed toward forgiveness or toward revenge and suspicion? The answers will tell you whether the person who asked you about your past was sent by God or sent as a spiritual thief. Because here's what's real: God will ask about your wounds too, but not to expose you. He asks to heal you. He asks so that you'll bring them into His light, so that the memory can be rewritten, not relived. The enemy wants you to relive, to repeat, to remain in cycles, but God wants you to release, and any voice, human or spiritual, that pulls you back into the darkness of your past without leading you to the light of your future is not from God. So from this moment forward, set a spiritual boundary around your soul's history. You don't owe everyone access to your pain. Just because they ask doesn't mean they're qualified. Just because they sound gentle doesn't mean they're sent to help. Some are watchers, some are manipulators, some are harvesting pain to build their own power, but you are awakening, you are rising, and now that your eyes are open, you will no longer bleed in front of unclean altars. You will no longer offer your story to ears that twist it. From now on, you will listen to the spirit behind the voice. You will ask, what does this person gain by knowing my pain? And if the answer isn't healing, deliverance, or freedom, you'll stay silent. Because silence, when led by the spirit, is protection, and withholding your story from the wrong spirit is not secrecy, it's wisdom. So when the question comes again, and it will, who hurt you in the past, smile. Pause and remember, God already knows. He has already begun the healing, and you don't need to open old wounds for someone who was never called to bind them. Do you ever feel like you're being watched? The spirit of surveillance masquerading as concern, there is a question that often passes as casual conversation, as though it were birthed from curiosity or concern. Someone might lean in and whisper, do you ever feel like you're being watched? And at first glance, it seems like a harmless reflection, a shared human experience, but pause, listen in the spirit. That question is a diagnostic tool of darkness, a probe sent by those who operate in the unseen world of spiritual surveillance. It is not just a question, it is a summoning of your awareness toward fear, an attempt to draw your consciousness into an invisible prison. Let's be clear, this is no ordinary inquiry. It is not asked because they care about your safety. It is asked to determine whether you already sense the intrusion. Witches and spiritual manipulators ask this to see if the spell of observation has been noticed by your spirit. They want to know if their monitoring has been detected. They're not confirming your awareness, they're measuring it, because if you answer yes, they proceed with greater caution. But if you answer no, they know their watch over you has been unnoticed, and they continue unchallenged. Understand this truth. Those operating in witchcraft cannot fully manipulate what they cannot monitor, and in the realm of spirit, surveillance is a prerequisite for control. Before they curse, they observe. Before they speak incantations, they study your routine, your patterns, your energy, your triggers. They look for spiritual entry points, and so the question, do you ever feel like you're being watched, is a diagnostic question. It's a test, a spiritual thermometer. Here's what many do not realize. Surveillance is a spirit. Just as there is a spirit of peace, there is a spirit of paranoia. Just as there is the spirit of truth, there is the spirit of deception. When you begin to feel uneasy, as though eyes are on you even in silence, you are not always imagining it. Sometimes your spirit is detecting an unclean presence. Your body may dismiss it, but your soul knows. Your imagination may try to reason it away, but your discernment refuses to rest. The kingdom of darkness studies those with light, because the anointed are a threat, because those who carry divine purpose are targets of premature destruction. And so surveillance begins, not always in person, but through familiar spirits, astral projection, remote viewing, and spiritual watchers assigned to mimic, distract, and delay. But listen, they cannot succeed unless you agree with the fear. They feed not on your presence, but your attention. They do not grow strong by their watching, but by your believing in their power. That is why the question, do you ever feel like you're being watched, is so lethal. It is an attempt to activate self-surveillance, to open the doorway to fear and confusion. Once you agree, yes, I do, and it bothers me, the spirit of fear begins to expand. Anxiety is welcomed in. Suspicion becomes your default. And once fear takes root, you stop trusting your intuition. You doubt your protection, and you forget that you are already surrounded by divine fire. Now hear this. There is nothing wrong with spiritual awareness. In fact, you are meant to be discerning. But the difference is this. Divine discernment leads to authority, while demonic surveillance leads to fear. When God shows you you're being watched, it's to stir you into spiritual warfare and confidence. But when darkness asks you if you're being watched, it's to invite you into worry and bondage. Have you ever noticed that after someone asks you this question, do you ever feel like you're being watched, your atmosphere changes? You begin to look over your shoulder more. You feel unsettled in your own home. You start reading signs where there are none. That is not discernment. That is suggestion wrapped in concern. It's a spell disguised as small talk. Because this is what they want. your agreement, your openness, your emotional consent. If they can get you to believe you're always being watched, they can implant the seed that you are always vulnerable. And when you feel vulnerable, you stop praying with confidence, you stop declaring with authority, you start shrinking second, guessing, retreating, and this, my friend, is the setup of the spell. But now your eyes are opening. You are beginning to recognize the true origin of the question. The enemy does not knock on your door screaming. He whispers. He uses people who appear harmless. He wears masks. He shows up as someone deeply spiritual, even prophetic. But discern this: God will never ask a question that introduces fear. God will ask what builds your faith. Darkness asks what amplifies your doubt. So what do you do when this question comes? Do you feel like you're being watched? First, respond in the Spirit. Yes, by angels. Yes, by the cloud of witnesses. Yes, by the eyes of the Lord that roam the earth. You must shift the frequency immediately. You must take authority over the atmosphere. Because how you respond reveals what you believe, and belief is the birthplace of spiritual law. Your home is not open to all eyes. Your mind is not a playground for all spirits. Your soul is not a canvas for other people's projections. You are covered, you are hidden, you are sealed. But if you don't believe that, the enemy will plant seeds of false visibility to make you believe you're spiritually naked. But remember this: when God surrounds you, nothing can truly watch you without his permission. The angel of the Lord encamps round about those who fear him. That is not poetic. It is a shield. It is legal protection in the realm of spirit. So if you sense the feeling of being watched and it does not come with peace, it is not from heaven. It is a counterfeit presence, and it must be cast out. Begin declaring in the atmosphere: every watcher spirit is blinded by the glory of God. Every unclean eye turned toward me is struck with darkness. Every familiar spirit assigned to monitor me is bound and cast into the dry places. I am under divine surveillance. I am not a victim of monitoring. I am the threat, and I walk in full authority. The question was never innocent. It was a setup, but now you see, now you discern, and when they ask again, you won't answer with curiosity. You'll answer with confidence. Do you feel like you're being watched? Yes, but not by you, by heaven, by angels, by glory, and no dark eye shall linger without consequence. Have you been having strange dreams lately? The invasion of the subconscious realm. There is no territory more sacred, more mysterious, and more vulnerable than the realm of dreams. It is where the veil is thinnest, where the spirit speaks in symbols, and where battles are won or lost long before they manifest in waking life. So when someone looks at you and casually asks, "Have you been having strange dreams lately?" do not be quick to respond. That question is not as innocent as it seems. It is not mere curiosity. It is often a coded doorway, an attempt to gain unauthorized access to the deepest regions of your subconscious. For the unawakened soul, dreams are just the mind at play. But for those who understand the spiritual world, dreams are a language of prophecy, a spiritual interface where impressions, visitations, and inner programming take place. What you dream is not random. It is a report from the spirit, a signal from realms beyond logic. So anyone who seeks knowledge of your dreams is often not asking for your benefit. They are probing to see what has been revealed to you, what you've seen that you perhaps don't yet understand. You must ask yourself, why would someone want to know about my dreams? What are they hoping to find? Those who operate in darkness, witches, astral projectors, spiritual thieves are obsessed with your dream life because it contains the blueprint of your spiritual landscape. Your dreams are a mirror of the inner man. They show what you've been thinking, fearing, desiring, and even what has been sown into your soul, whether by God or the enemy. So when they ask, "Have you had strange dreams lately?" the goal is surveillance through suggestion. The question is designed to jog your memory, to reignite any imagery that may have faded after waking. You see, if you remember and begin speaking about it aloud, you give your dream form in the material world. You bring it from the silence of the spirit into the atmosphere of influence, and when you speak a dream out loud in the presence of someone not spiritually clean, you risk planting your vision into foreign soil. You must understand, witches and spiritual manipulators cannot always enter your dreams. but they can provoke you to release what you've seen. And once spoken, they try to interpret, distort, or manipulate it. They may say, that's a warning dream, or that's just your subconscious, or worse, let me pray into that for you. But don't be deceived, what they want is access. And once they've heard your dreams, they begin forming counter-narratives, casting spiritual nets around your prophetic insights to alter their manifestation. In the dream world, timing, symbols, and emotions all matter. That is why the enemy loves to disturb your sleep or send agents to ask about it. The subconscious is the spiritual womb. Whatever is conceived there will eventually birth into your outer world. So the more information they have about what you dream, the more they can hinder the labor of your destiny. Now ask yourself this: have you noticed a pattern that once you share a dream, something strange begins to happen? The vision that once inspired peace now feels heavy. The revelation that once stirred clarity becomes clouded with confusion. Your direction is blurred. Your steps feel hesitant. This is no coincidence. It is the fruit of dream theft. The enemy cannot stop what God has shown you, unless you invite them into the vision through speech and agreement. Here's another layer of deception. Sometimes, after you reveal your dream, the person who asked begins to dream about you. And you assume it's confirmation. You say, they must be spiritually connected to me. No, not always. Often it's projection. They are using your dream fragments as coordinates, tapping into your frequency by using your own subconscious reports as spiritual GPS. This is not intimacy, it's intrusion. Your dreams are not public property. They are prophetic files encrypted in symbolism by the Spirit for your instruction, not for casual consumption. But why do they care so much about your dreams? Because dreams are the realm where God speaks when you're most defenseless. The mind is quiet. The ego is asleep. The noise of the world fades. In this stillness you are most open to truth, and also most open to attack. That's why people who operate in dark arts try to invade or manipulate your sleep. If they can't stop the word from reaching you, they'll try to confuse it after it arrives. So what do? How do you guard your dreams? First, understand that not all dreams should be shared. Even Joseph, though given visions of his future in dreams, nearly died for speaking too soon. There is a time to release what you've seen, and a time to let it incubate in silence. Silence is not suppression, it is protection. Every vision must be matured before it's spoken. Until then, you guard it, water it, pray over it, and most of all, you test the spirit of those who ask about it. When someone asks, have you had strange dreams lately? Respond with discernment. Ask yourself, is this a safe soul? Does this person walk in the light? Or do they always seem to appear after I've had spiritual insight? You'll often find that these questions don't come from your tribe. They come from watchers, from curious ones, from those who seek knowledge but carry no light. So pray like this: Lord, seal my dreams in the blood. Block every astral projection, every watcher spirit, every unauthorized traveler from entering the corridors of my mind. Let no enemy spy on what you reveal in the night. Make my dreams a sanctuary, not a battlefield. And after you pray, believe it, because authority in the dream world begins with your conscious agreement in the waking world. Some dreams are warnings, some dreams are messages, some dreams are invitations into deeper realms. But all dreams are portals, and portals must be guarded. That question, have you had strange dreams lately, is not neutral. It is either from the Holy Spirit or from a counterfeit spirit trying to eavesdrop on divine revelation. If it is from God, the question will lead you to clarity, to instruction, to faith. If it is from darkness, it will lead you to fear, confusion, or exposure. So judge by the fruit, and when in doubt, say nothing. Your silence is your sword. Your discretion is your shield. Let the enemy wonder what you saw. Let them fear what you know. Let them stumble in the dark trying to locate a dream you refuse to speak. Because in this hour, God is raising up those who understand that the deepest spiritual warfare happens in the realm of sleep, and those who guard their dreams guard their destinies.